Three, two, and one. Welcome back to the Media Files podcast. Guys, it has been a minute. Definitely took off some time in March. A lot of different things going on. Technically even had an episode recorded for February. So more than likely that will come out, and then this one will come out as well. Or maybe this one will come out first and then that one. However it goes, we will make this work. So first, apologies. A lot of different things going on in all three of our lives, so it's becoming a lot harder to come together and record as we used to. But, as life goes, things happen, and, things don't always stay the same. Like, even for myself, I'm getting further into my degree program, so I'm finding less and less time to do certain things that I want to do. So that's just life. But, and again, this isn't a full-time thing. Like, I like it a lot of times where YouTubers will say like, oh, we'll produce as we can, because that's really what it is. You're living your life and doing something extra on the side that you hope, because I'm going to be honest, YouTube, a lot of that, even Instagram, TikTok, whatever, to quote unquote become famous, it's literally luck. Like literally something hitting the algorithm and people taking notice of your content, and not just that one time, but continuously coming back. But a lot of people, in all honesty, just need that one. If they can get that one video to go viral, it could change their entire lives. And we've seen that multiple times before, where someone gets that 1 second of fame. They either run with it and do good things, or run with it and ruin their entire reputation. So we're hoping that we can do something for you. And the whole point of this is to just have discussions. There are a lot of things, and I think there are a lot of content creators like YouTube. There's very little barrier in terms of doing what you want to do. And I think that's fine. I come from the era of where YouTube was starting to be a thing. As in, I remember when YouTube wasn't a thing, and then it was a thing. And then it became a big deal, like relatively quickly, to where people were not making a living off of it. But eventually it became a creative outlet for a lot of individuals. And because of that creativity and people vibing with that creativity, they became YouTubers. Like, it became an actual job. And nowadays, nowadays everybody wants to be a YouTuber because that's what they grew up on. And everybody has an opinion. Everybody wants, to get their 2 cents out there. If not in the YouTube comments, then verbally, because a lot of times we may feel like, people may feel like what they're saying isn't being heard. Their point isn't getting across. What they type isn't necessarily being interpreted well. Whatever the case may be, we are here to start conversations. And today I have a very interesting conversation, something that's been boiling my blood lately, or grinding my gears, if you guys have watched Family Guy. I remember when that was a thing, like when that first started coming out, and it was like, man, how is Family Guy still alive? But, it is what it is. So one thing that I'm kind of sick and tired of, and I've been doing this unknowingly, but one thing that I've been doing recently, and I hope you guys are doing this as well, doing like social media purges every now and then. And what I mean by that isn't necessarily giving up technology, because again, technology has been ingrained into our society to a point of where if you don't have your phone, you feel like a part of you is missing. It has all your contacts, all your photos, this, that, and the other. Like, a lot of us can't even remember how to get to a grocery store without Google Maps. Like, I come from the time of where we had literal maps, where we printed out stuff, MapQuest. Like, we literally printed out directions and had to follow the directions line by line to get where we were going. Like for me, I'm typically good with directions as long as I've been there enough times. Like I will literally remember, oh, when I get to this McDonald's, I'll make a right. Oh, if I get here, a lot of times if I go somewhere so many times, I'll just go by autopilot. Like I don't even need to think. I just go there. And, we can all relate to that. But again, there is very good convenience when it comes to that. But when I say purge, I mean purging things that you do not consume any further. It is just something that is taking up space on your platforms, however you consume. Specifically YouTube for me. There was a time a couple years ago when I used to watch channels like Watch Mojo or the React Brothers. I used to watch those channels very frequently. But obviously after dips in quality and where it became more quantity over the quality, I stopped watching them a long time ago. And it wasn't because of the whole Fine Bros like, oh, we're trying to trademark the whole React thing. That was stupid. You can't trademark something that anybody and everybody can do. I have my own thoughts about React channels. Don't get me wrong. And I can't say anything because we did do reactions. Like the last video we did together was reaction to like the lost tapes. But again, and I'll get to this point eventually, but let me not get ahead of myself. So I unsubscribed for those channels because of that reason, right? Because I felt that the quality of their content had dwindled. Watch Mojo specifically, the quality and content dwindled because they were trying to be those channels that post every single day. And remember, this is a top 10 list. As in how many, like I knew that it was the end of this channel when they started doing top 10 lists of their own top 10s. Like top 10, Watch Mojo top 10 lists. And it's like, huh? So now you're ranking your own videos. And then they started branching out into other things. And I'm like, the whole I need to post every single day is a trap. Because it is ultimately where you are saying to yourself, now, if it's a commitment thing, then that's fine. But you also have to consider your audience. Because if you will constantly push out content, that means they're always expecting something from you. And eventually they're going to get tired of seeing certain things from you. Like there's only so many videos you can make about something before people are like, why am I still watching this person? And that's just how life goes. People are not always going to be interested in you. That's just how life is. If you're famous, if you're, the smartest man in the world, people are going to lose interest in you unless you do stuff every now and then to get people interested. Because there are times where I'll talk about celebrities and I'm like, man, I wonder what happened to them. Like just recently I was talking about like Andre 3000 from Outkast. Like I remember him specifically from that group. And I remember him specifically from Class of 3000, a very nostalgic cartoon for me. Back then on Cartoon Network, one of my favorite cartoons, had its own soundtrack. I had the CD. That's how much I love that cartoon. And recently, Andre was like he wanted to reboot Class of 3000. I thought to myself, you've been kind of like in the background, living your own life. Why is this your thought process now? I feel like it is way too late. In the era of remakes and remasters and all this stuff where creativity is no longer, let's take a chance. It's let us use something that has proven to work and hope that it works again. And a lot of you are already familiar with the whole Snow White debacle. Like Disney has been churning out remakes like literal sewage spewing forth into the ocean. But the smarter of us don't just consume. And that's the main point that I'm trying to get at, is that I am sick and tired of this. No matter what someone produces, I will consume it. No matter what is produced, I will consume it. And I specifically say this with media. And I have two examples primarily. With manga, which also kind of bleeds into the anime realm as well, of course. because that's just another expression of it. And with movies. Now, movies I think are pretty quick and dirty. Like, just because Disney makes a movie does not mean, oh, everybody needs to be up and like, yay. Because not everybody's like that. We've seen it with the past couple of movies. And now, again, and I agree with a lot of people saying that nostalgia is all that Disney has. And that's all that is going to have. And people are getting tired of it because, again, you can only do the same thing so many times before people get tired of you. That's just the truth. Like, as a YouTuber, celebrity, anything, you should not be in your own, like, you should not make it so that I will be remembered no matter what happens. Now, there are celebrities who are like that, who are remembered to this day and who, are considered, thought of fondly. But at the same time, we're not erecting like statues in their honor. We're not naming states or cities after them. We don't have a literal holiday named after them. Like, imagine if we were forced to celebrate Kanye West Day. That would not fly. I'm just being honest. No one is going to agree with that, because that is, that's making the assumption that you are so well respected. You are so important above not just the average man, but every single American, to where you specifically deserve a holiday where everybody is meant to recognize how great you are and all the things that you've done to contribute to society. Like, we are not giving Kanye West a Veterans Day. Like, we're talking about an artist whom I do respect, and back in the day, I used to buy all of his CDs. A lot of things changed, and I stopped listening to, like, a long time ago, I stopped listening to the man. Like, I know there's a lot of things going on in his life, and that's a good excuse, but a lot of stuff is going on in everybody's life. Like, you're not the only one going through things, Kanye. You know what I mean? Like, long story short, just because things are happening in your life does not mean that that is a good excuse for me to be like, oh, I'll continue to support you or do whatever. Man, if you need help, like, no one can take care of you like you can. The fans don't care about you. No one does. Like, we're seeing this now where Hollywood believes that the fans will always stick by their side. At one point we would have, but that's no longer the case, because you guys are not taking our interests at heart. You're only concerned with pushing whatever you think we want versus trying things and seeing if we actually care about this stuff. You don't test the waters anymore. You just dive right in and expect us to follow you. That's not how it works. Not today. But all that to say this, there is no one who is immune from irrelevancy. You will never be so important that everybody is thinking of you constantly, that you deserve reverence above every single person. No human being is ever going to be that. That's just the truth. That is literal fact. Just because you're mentioned in the history book doesn't mean people are like, man, I'm always thinking of Albert Einstein because that's who I want to be like when I grow up. No, eventually people will grow tired of it. And again, Disney is just the best example. It's always good to pick on Disney when they're down. And in this moment, in this time frame of where they have significant losses and will continue to experience significant losses, because again, we are burnt out of the Marvel formula. We're burnt out of these remakes. We're burnt out because it's not even just the remakes. It's the poor quality and the bloated budgets that go into this. How come I'm more entertained by a movie? One of my favorite movies ever is called Tremors. Literally a movie where they shot in the desert. It is like actual effects, like physical effects, not CGI. Like I remember watching the extras where they show where they actually built the graboids, like the monsters. These are literal things that they built. That is way, like you can tell the difference between Tremors 1 and then Tremors 4 when they introduce the flying ones. Like you can tell there's definitely there's something going on here between the ones that are like actually made by hand versus the ones that are computer generated. And there's nothing wrong with that. But again, what you put forth, people are going to take notice of everything that you do, right? Because every single remake that you've done so far slaps the original in the face. So you don't care about the originals that made you who you are today. You do not care about the fans who love Disney because they fell in love with the original properties. And you're slapping in the face the hard work of the original screenwriters, the animators, all the people who made Disney what it is today. And I even imagined to myself, what would the world be like if Disney went bankrupt? Nobody wants to think about that. But Disney is not immune to anything. Look at Ubisoft. Ubisoft gave us some of the greatest games that I can imagine. I love the early Assassin's Creed games. But look at where we are now. Fake reviews, suing YouTubers, this and that. And Nintendo, ooh, I got it for you. Underhanded tactics. Not telling people how much things are and assuming, and that's where this is really coming from. So let me kind of like just settle on Nintendo first, and then I'll hop over to the anime and manga spiel afterwards. But essentially, everybody already knows about this whole Nintendo Switch, the Switch 2, the price for it, the whole like cost of the attempt to raise the price of games to almost $100. Remember, just for the game itself, not for DLC, not for additions, just for the game, right? So that, and you cannot play older games on the newer one unless you pay for a subscription. So not only are you paying for a console that's almost $500, mind you, that's one. Paying $90 for a game. Now they said it's a discount if you buy it together, but let's be honest. If you do it once, you will do it again. The next Pokemon game you're gonna charge $90 for, right? So let's just round it up to 500, right? Because there's taxes and all that stuff. So 500, 590, and then whatever the subscription is just to play older games on the new one, right? So that's over, I mean, you can just guess over $600. That's just for the console, one game, and a subscription to play the old games that you already spent your hard-earned money on. So what that tells you, mind you, that tells you that if you don't pay the subscription, you would have to buy those games twice. Why? Who approved this? Nintendo? And remember, guys, Nintendo has gone on the record to say, we do not put our games on sale because we do not want our fans to be expectant of it. As in, we don't want you guys to hold out for a sale. We want you to buy the product as soon as it is released. Then I won't buy it. Like, how hard is that to understand, Nintendo? Like, it has been a long time since I've purchased anything Nintendo related. And I'm fine with that. Your latest Pokemon game, oh, it's 3D. It's still a turn-based RPG. Wow, it's almost like I played that before. another reason why I didn't do much was because I had the flu. So, sick in bed, all that good stuff. And while I was sick in bed, I bought a game on the Nintendo Switch called Nexomon. And Nexomon, in my opinion, is a better modern version of Pokemon. Because, it has original designs. It's not nailed down to the whole evolution mechanic. It's not this, it's not that. It's, taking a fresh view of how the Pokemon actually affect the world, and there's actual stakes and dangers. Like, Nintendo, stop acting like you guys are scared of killing people. The very series that you guys plaster as one of your namestays, Pokemon, literally has a series where Pokemon are getting killed. But you guys want to go after Power World because they made a lot of money. I don't know if they went after Nexomon, because Nexomon it literally has Mon in it. Did they go after Digimon too? Like I'm trying to understand this thought process, Nintendo. Because the reason why I don't like this is because you have those Nintendo tards, or whatever you want to call them, Nintendo heads, or people who are so fixated on Nintendo that no matter what they do, they will consume their products, no matter what it actually means to consume it. Because what happens if everybody purchases this game at $90 or $80 or whatever? That gives the gaming industry the green light to start charging more for their products. I am not paying $100 for a game. Never. That is more than what I currently pay for my phone bill. Like, that's more than most of my utilities. Who in their right mind is going to pay literally one or two utilities and put that into a game that, one, you don't know is going to be good, two, you cannot refund? Do not sit here and act like refunds work well with Nintendo. Like, oh, we're all innocent and we're all good. Tell me a time when someone has gotten a refund with Nintendo. Tell me. Because that junk ain't easy. It isn't. Try to get your money back with Nintendo, especially for a $100 game. Like, but you'll have literal idiots. And I don't like saying that word. But literal idiots who will be grinning at the Nintendo showcase, watching things like, man, that's so cool. Yeah, the Nintendo Switch 2. And you're like, bro, you look so stupid. Because number one, Nintendo didn't reveal anything in those trailers, right? They said, visit the Nintendo website. So if you just take them at face value, then lo and behold, you don't give the full account. They knew this was going to be a problem. That's why they didn't mention it. You want to know why? If it were me, and I think it's the same reason, like a lot of, especially, ratioed. They don't want to be ratioed. But here's the problem, Nintendo. People can change their like button to a dislike. People can change and edit their comments. Like, what you're trying to save yourself from doesn't work. YouTube doesn't show how many likes or how many dislikes a video has anymore, but you can still change your likes to dislikes. And that's what should happen. Because this is egregious. Because I remember for the Nintendo Switch, when I first got it, and I was like, okay, I like this. I play it occasionally. But I play it more so when I go out of town. Because when I'm at home, I'm on my gaming PC or I'm on my PlayStation. one or the other, right? And most of the games, I would say I only own one Nintendo like property on my Nintendo Switch, and that is Mario Maker 2. Because again, I'm never going to tell you how much to spend on a game. Only make sure you are justified in your brain of brains that this is worth whatever you're putting. Because I'm going to be honest, if I really wanted a game, I would put money aside every single month until I could buy it. So if it's a $60 game, I would put $20 aside every month. Be patient and buy the game. I rarely buy games as soon as they come out because one, it gives time for us to see what it's like. Two, for them to fix any problems that may come up. And three, it gives me time to decide if I actually want to spend my money on this thing. I spent, 3 months saving up money for this game and this game's not good. Well, I'll go treat myself to a nice dinner. Fam, get in the car. We're going to Zaxby's or something. I don't know. Well, we go somewhere more fancy. But the point is, gamers need to have a little bit more urgency, critical thinking. And YouTubers do not help when they're doing reactions to this. Because why? You are giving them attention. You are giving them free publicity. You are saying to your audience that, hey, I agree with what Nintendo is doing. Especially if you only react to the trailers and not to what's actually going on. In other words, I don't think YouTubers should have any say or any play in anything until they have all the facts. I think it's fine to react to those things, but also understand what that means and what you're saying by doing that. Because I say this with Dokkan YouTubers, but I'm not going to get into that. Maybe that'll be the next episode that I do. Because mobile games is another form of media. But long story short, I've gotten to the point of where anything Nintendo does at this point, I just don't care. But I did finish my other thought. So when Nintendo came out with the whole emulator thing, where you can download the Game Boy Color or Game Boy Advance or the, Nintendo 64 emulator on your Switch. And that was cool. But what they did was they split it down the middle, right? For the free version, you can play the Game Boy, if I'm remembering correctly. There's a Game Boy Color, Nintendo 64, and then there's one more that I don't really touch all that much. But on the other side, there's the Game Boy Advance, I think the GameCube, and then one more. But long story short, they wanted you to pay like a lot of money for this. For an emulator. Really, Nintendo? That is your solution to people emulating your games? Is to charge them for it. Number one, charge them for it. And second, release them on a monthly basis. So you could be paying for something that doesn't even have the game that you want to play. Because so far, of all the Game Boy Color games that I've been playing on there, there's the 2 Legend of Zelda games. I think that's it. Those are the only 2 games I played on there. And, they've been building up that library for how long? So long story short, just because a company does something, people need to get out of their heads that they can do no wrong. And we need to stop perpetuating this thought process that we are unable to criticize the big companies. You speak with your wallets, people. I don't understand. I don't know any other way to say that to you. You speak with your wallet. Your wallet has a lot of power, mind you. Because remember, it's not just one. It's multiple, right? It's multiple instances that can lead to a company's downfall, right? So, for example, with Disney and all this stuff going on, right? They have been suffering commercial failures one after another after another. Back in the day, in the heyday of Marvel, they could have one bad movie. So they could release 5 movies in a year. If one of those movies is bad, but the other 4 make a profit, they're still good. But what happens when you release 10 movies, right? Or let's make it more fair. 5 movies, 5 shows. And only one of them, one of each, does well enough to make somewhat of a profit. Someone has to be eating those costs, or you're digging yourself further and further into debt. Because big companies like that don't always have as big of a budget as you think. They have to go into debt to make things happen. So there's gonna come a time where the tax man is knocking on Disney's door and like, yo, where's my money? And Disney's gonna shrug their shoulders and be like, well, you can take the mouse, but we don't have the money. Can you imagine Disney World closing all of their parks because they don't have the money to run them? Could you imagine all of Disney properties just being open to go on whatever platform? I'd be fine with that at this point. And this is the consequence of wanting things to be all digital. You dig a hole for yourself because you wanted to jump on something without fully understanding the consequences. There are less and less people who are like diehard Disney fans, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with loving Disney, but I think it's become less of, do we love Disney, or like, wait, sorry guys. Oh, okay, it's just a meme. But yeah, I think that's the best example for it. Nintendo is in a peculiar like spot right now, and even with other companies, Sony, Xbox, they will push the envelope to do whatever they can. Like the other day, I received an email from PlayStation. Tell me how stupid this is. They experienced a network outage, right? Their solution to pay back or to rectify this situation is to give me 5 days of PlayStation Plus. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, but I pay for PlayStation Plus already, and I pay yearly. So I'm just gonna get 5 extra days at the end, and you're not gonna charge me for 5 days. Woo, that's great. But I still have to pay. What does that mean? And don't even get me started with PlayStation, because they have this whole, oh, we have a digital catalog that you guys want to pay for, and you would definitely want to buy, just so you can play some exclusive games that technically you can still buy and just buy once. Because this is the whole thing. Companies are in their heads thinking that everything we produce, people want. And I think that's the problem with Nintendo too, and Ubisoft. They're like, as long as we produce something, gamers will play it and they will love it. I am not buying that subscription PlayStation when I can literally just buy the games that I want to play. And mind you, a lot of the games that I would want to play are ones I've already beaten multiple times. So it's like Jak and Daxter Trilogy. Why would I need that? I've already beaten it like 50 times. Ratchet and Clank Trilogy. I've already beaten that like 50 times. Sly Cooper Trilogy. I've already beaten it. Nostalgia is all you have left, old man. And like, you know, Sony, we'll just say Naughty Dog because they release it on Sony. But the whole Last of Us, and I'm like, nobody cares there's not going to be another Last of Us game. If they literally just made the first Last of Us and left it at that, no one would have complained. Nobody. How about you guys reboot Infamous? That was a really good game. Oh, but you don't want to touch that. Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm trying to wrap my head around this idea of where video game companies have assumed this identity that they are so important that no matter what they do or what they produce or what they push forward, people are going to accept it, whip out their wallets, throw money at them, and they're going to be forever rich. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare for a world where there's no Sony, where there's no Xbox, where there's no Ubisoft, where there's no Disney, where there's nothing. Can you imagine that? A world with no Sony or Disney or no Nintendo? And all we have left are games that they produced at one point. And the only people making games that people actually want to play are indie game developers. Like, Nintendo wants to get mad at Power World, but I'm like, Power World is exactly what I wanted Pokemon to be. Nintendo would never have the balls to do what Power World is doing. Never. Never. Because they like to hold this, we're family, we're family friendly. You can play this with your whole family. So you're just going to keep making the 20th, Mario Kart, the 20th Mario Party. Like, guys, you have to get tired of this sooner or later. You are not going to sit here and tell me you are going to buy another Mario Party. You're going to sit here and buy another Mario Kart. What is wrong with you? Put a little bit more value on your money. And especially as things get tighter, you are going to value your dollar more. And it's not about, it's not because of tariffs and all this. They put those prices on the games while they are in development. As in, before any of this stuff was happening and those games were in development, they were already cooking up how much they wanted to charge for this game. So I don't want to hear that crap in the comments. And don't say it's not true. It is true. Search YouTube. You will have people who will say, I will buy this day one. You guys need to hop on board. Like, they're literally being paid by Nintendo to hype up their stuff to you. You hold the power with your wallet and your money. Don't give your power to anybody else. So I think that's enough for that. Let's transition over to the other part that I wanted to talk about. So another reason why I was kind of thinking about this was because there's a YouTube channel that I follow, and I'm not going to say their name, but basically they are a channel where they like to theorize and, really delve into the history of some manga. Like, they like to make predictions based on information that the authors give. Like, one of their more successful line is with One Piece, because they're able to draw a conclusion, and Black Clover, I would definitely say. But recently I have been losing faith in them, because not because they cover stuff with Boruto, but because a lot of times they don't touch a series until it gets an anime adaptation. So let me tell you what I mean, right? A lot of us on here know what Kaiju number 8 is. Kaiju number 8 has been out for a good while, and is really encroaching on the end game here. So we're expecting it. Komi-san, that manga finished. It was very sad, but all good things must come to an end. But we all have been reading Kaiju number 8. It's the only reason why it's been sticking around. Because we know the mighty powers of shonen. What they'll do if a series is not, quote unquote, popular enough, they will axe it. They will rush the ending, and you will be left high and dry in your underwear in the frozen tundra, wondering what the heck did I do to deserve this? There are quite a few series that that happened to that I was like, why? And there are other ones where I was like, okay, I can get it. I understand, but if you gave it a little bit more time, maybe it would have been something. Maybe it could have been great. You don't know because you didn't give it time. But again, that's not my job to justify whether a series, needs to be saved or otherwise. I would say and they do this because ever since Dawn to Dawn got its anime adaptation, they moved it from Jump or, the alternative magazine to the main one. Because I was like, I never read Dawn to Dawn on the main one. I always read it on the other app. The extra one for the series that quote unquote are, not the big three or whatever it is. Dawn to Dawn was in the alternative magazine until it got an animated adaptation. Everybody was loving it. And then bam, Dawn to Dawn was now being released on the main app. Coincidence? I think not. But you get what I'm saying. That a lot of times people will do things and, I didn't really complete the thought, but we've all been reading Kaiju number 8 since its inception. And it wasn't until recently that we got the anime, which was good. My problem was with this particular channel, they didn't even touch anything Kaiju number 8 until the anime came out. And you guys are probably noticing my sick wallpaper engine, baby. The ever popular Solo Leveling manhwa turned into an anime. They didn't even touch this one until then. Mind you, Solo Leveling has been finished for a very long time. Solo Leveling wasn't just something that was just created and then the anime picked up. No, Solo Leveling has been finished for a long time, for some years. And they recently, after the anime was announced, they started working on the follow-up, which I haven't read. I read Solo Leveling like front to back multiple times because it is a great story. It's not good, it is great. It is amazing to me. And yet they didn't touch it until it was an anime and popular and everybody was talking about it. So I lost more respect for them, especially recently when they're like, oh, Boruto this, Boruto that. And I'm like, bro, nobody cares. Boruto is literally just recycled Naruto. Like, I have never had respect for Boruto. Never. And again, I'm never going to tell anybody what you should love but for me personally, I don't see, and the other guys, we don't see what the appeal is. Naruto is 10 times better than Boruto, and it always will be. Boruto is just the bad future of bad writing, bad animation, and all the other good stuff. So I lost respect for them because I'm like, you guys are only talking about these things now because they're popular. And I remember they stopped making Black Clover content because the chapters were on hiatus. And I'm sitting there like, okay. And it took them forever just to come out with anything for it. And it's like, bro, like, where do your priorities lie? It's with whatever's popular right now. Because now it's less about actually enjoying what you do. It's more about, oh, we just want to give people what they want. That sounds familiar, right? We want to give you guys what you want. Not what you really need. You need a comprehensive look into the lore and the history that, bursts forth this manga. And this kind of delves into that whole just because quote unquote everybody loves it doesn't mean you should either. There was a moment in my life where I liked Bleach. And there are people who are like, man, Bleach is the greatest. And I can never fathom why. I thought Bleach was okay until I grew older, and then I realized, what was I smoking back then? Because in comparison to other shows, because I always draw this comparison, Bleach is literally just Inuyasha to me. I mean, am I wrong? Like, Inuyasha has a big sword that he uses. Ichigo has another sword that he uses. Big sword that he uses. They're both trying to save, Kagome. And it's like, they go through adventures and all this stuff. They kill demons and all that, And it's this wonderful adventure. And every single problem Ichigo has ever faced has been solved by being that problem. And I hate that. And you're like, well, what do you mean, Sergeant Survival? When I say that every problem that Ichigo has ever faced has been solved by him being that problem, i.e. the first arc, right? So Ichigo received his powers by, Rukia giving her her power, right? So he becomes a Soul Reaper, temporary Soul Reaper. But he's strong. Like, she's like, man, this guy is pretty powerful. But then he loses them because she takes them back or whatever happens, and they go back to the Soul Society. And then it comes out that Ichigo has already had Soul Reaper powers. Nobody questions where it comes from. It's just like, man, you've had the potential. Or maybe people just assume because he had it before, because he had them from Rukia, they just happened. But we know that's not true. Most people with logical, critical thinking is like, no, that doesn't make sense. Then that literally means anybody could become a Soul Reaper. So, anywho, he goes, he beats everybody up, blah, 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 saves her. And then Aizen is a traitor, and then he goes to Hueco Mundo, right? And then we get to the Arrancar arc, where Ichigo gets his butt kicked. And he's like, no, I can't do this. And then guys who are Soul Reapers, but actually have hollow powers, show up and they're like, you have a hollow in you. Let's train you. So the problem with the hollows was solved by becoming a hollow. Cool. Yeah. And then now in the final arc, where it's Quincy's who are supposed to be extinct. Let's just forget about that plot line. Or, I skipped Fullbring, but I don't care about Fullbring. Fullbring is the most retarded thing I've ever read in my life. Literally, you have such a strong connection with an object. It gives you powers. What the actual... So I have so much affection towards my sex doll, then that makes zero logical sense. Even in the world of Bleach. Because remember, guys, when you establish a power system, you have to maintain it in some way, shape, or form. We were introduced to spiritual pressure, as in what we would equate to ki or chakra. As in, the stronger the spiritual pressure, the stronger the person is, right? Now, there are certain individuals who have the spiritual pressure. It manifests in different ways, yes. And I think that's fine. And I think that was the problem where it was coming from Chad had his powers or Hime had her powers. And it felt at that time where are they getting these powers from? You're not going to tell me she loved her hairpin or Chad loved his skin color that much that he's like, yeah, I'm going to be able to punch literal holes through mountains now. Or her, I'm able to literally fix time and space. Because remember, when Orihime met the Wizards, or whatever you call them, the big guy who was able to make berries, he's like, oh, her powers are very similar to mine. So you're like, okay, so her powers are more related to Soul Reaper stuff. And it's there's no clear line of where these powers come from or how they're manifested. It's just, if you want powers, or better yet, if the author wants you to have powers, he gives you them and then creates some excuse for you to have them. You're not going to sit there and tell me that these misfits gained powers by loving certain things. I love my boots so much, they give me the power to move in the speed of light. And the dirtier I become, the stronger I become. What kind of power is that? That sounds like something they would cook up in Hunter x Hunter. At least when it came to Nin, it was like, okay, it's based on your own like personality as a person. There are categories which signify what you can do, but ultimately the power is based on your own training and your own creativity. There are limits to what you can do, and I believe a lot of Nin abilities are absolute butt pulls, but at least there's that, the creativity that can be made with that. Because again, there were 3 established powers in Bleach: Soul Reapers, Quincy's, and Hollows. Soul Reapers and Quincy's fought Hollows because Hollows like to kill and eat people. Makes perfect sense. Hollows and Quincy's had beef, so they fought. Makes sense. No normal human being had powers. Nobody. And even for Soul Reapers, they're technically dead. Well, they are dead. So whenever Ichigo's, becomes a Soul Reaper, he dies. But his friends, Chad and Orihime, they're just like, you know what? We can use spiritual pressure as well. So we're strong now. Like, what the like, that doesn't work for me anymore. And with the resurgence of the anime, I'm like, this is literally the example of when an animation company carries the material. Because again, Ichigo is not that interesting of a character to me. None of them are. None of them really have that much of barely any personality. And that definitely like changed when the 1,000-Year Blood War came around. Like, it almost felt like they were trying to make Ichigo like Yusuke Urameshi. Like this tough guy, and it's always a trope, but tough guy who has a heart of gold, but he's very straightforward. But there's vast differences, especially how you build them up. Because I feel like a lot of time with Bleach, when Ichigo went through something, I never felt like he grew or developed as a person. He got stronger, yes, but what lessons did he learn throughout his journey? Like, seriously, what lessons did he learn? Like, after the first arc, it's like, well, now he just has all his friends together, but there's a looming threat now. Okay. Maybe in the Hueco Mundo arc, it's like, oh, I need to rely on my friends more. But that was literally thrown out the window when none of them could do anything against Ukiura. And he literally had to lose himself to his hollow form just to kill the guy. Okay? So that was thrown out the window. Like, I never felt like he learned anything or grew in, to a certain capacity. Like, people will always compare. And that's why I don't understand why people are like, man, I just love Bleach. But then I'm like, do you, or are you living off of this nostalgia from a long time ago and just saying you love it without actually taking a critical lens to it? Because I will be the first person to say that One Piece, there are a lot of issues with it. Do not get me wrong. It's not just nostalgia, but I love One Piece because it is the definition of what it is. It is an exploration manga about a kid who gathered a crew and they are sailing across the world to get to the end of the world to find One Piece. As in, they have a goal. That goal is not straight. It takes time to get there. Like if you're taking a trip across the United States, you don't just go from Georgia to California. You go between states. You make stops as you go. Your car does not run on dreams. whether it's gas or electric. But I will be the first person to admit that One Piece has a lot of issues. Dragon Ball Z had a lot of issues. Dragon Ball Super has a lot of issues. Naruto has a lot of issues. Fairy Tail, like the one manga that I've read out of all the three of us, I have read to completion. And I started the 100-year quest, but I stopped after a minute because I think it was on hiatus and I didn't know it came back. Black Clover, I've read all of Black Clover. But at the end of the day, ultimately what I'm saying is you need to have a critical lens and actually think about the things that you are consuming and not just saying things or doing things because it's the thing that you believe will give you the credibility and fame that you're searching for. Because that's not genuine. That's not honest. Excuse me. Because isn't that what's destroying a lot of YouTubers' reputation nowadays? Is that what you saw on the screen was not genuine? Where they had all this dark stuff going on in the background? Celebrities. Trust is very hard to gain, but it's very easy to lose. Very easy, guys. And again, I'm not telling you to trust me or do any of that. What I'm telling you is you guys need to learn to be more critical in your choices and your decisions. Again, as I said earlier, I am not going to shame you for liking what you like. But when I ask you the very question of why do you like this anime, and you only give me one reason, but I can give you 20 reasons as to why I don't, what's going on there? And I'm not saying you need 20 reasons, but you really need to think about what it is that you're watching, what it is that you like, what it is that you consume. Because if you went on YouTube and you watched a video from your favorite YouTuber, and then I asked you, why are they your favorite YouTuber? And you're like, man, because they're funny, they're witty, they always come out with great videos, they try other video games, they have a, great relationship with other YouTubers, they do giveaways, they do this, they do that, and you're like running off at the mouth, just excited, telling me everything you love about this one individual who you may have not ever seen before. But ultimately what I'm saying is, people need to have critical thinking. We are losing that skill, people. We are losing this. We are losing a skill that has kept us alive for years and years and years. It's almost like we're regressing. Like, critical think, people. I.e., if you say that you love something, again, nobody is going to shame you for that. No one should. But you should be able to provide valid reasoning. And don't just say because I like it. Because I could say that I don't like it. But then you can't get mad at me because that's the exact same answer you gave me. You're like, oh, but why don't you like it? It's the greatest thing ever. But then I ask you, I'm like, well, why do you like it? You keep saying that it's the greatest thing ever, but you give me no reasons. Like, if you can give me valid reasons that I cannot debunk, that's another part of it too. When it comes to critical thinking, it's about what is being said actually backed up by fact, right? Because a lot of times when people will say like, oh, this in Dragon Ball Z and this in Super, like, oh, it's just Goku in another, part of his life. He's more mature now. And I'm like, I don't see that in Super. I never saw that in Super. The Goku that I remember growing up with is someone I grew up with. As in, I saw him grow and help other people grow. Goku was selfless. Goku was willing to do whatever he could to protect people. He did everything he could for his family. People always say he's a deadbeat dad, but this man literally gave his life for his son to make sure he was safe. He literally died. And as soon as he came back to life, he ran off to find his son and Krillin fighting Nappa and Vegeta, with Piccolo dead and everybody else dead. He kicked their butts, was seriously injured from protecting everybody. Gohan and Krillin, feeling the duty they needed to bring back the Dragon Balls to wish back their friends, went off to Planet Namek. This is all ringing a bell, right? Goku was still too injured, and there weren't any senzu beans yet. So as soon as he was recovered, he followed suit. And as soon as my man lands, he shows up to say everybody's kicking everybody's butt. But then Ginyu takes his body, hurts him, and then, he's in the rejuvenation chamber for a while, right? So while he's recovering, they're trying to, hold Frieza off because nobody can do anything. Vegeta's getting blown out. Goku shows up again to protect everybody. He's a bad dad. He's a terrible father, though. He shows up, protects everyone, and as soon as he has the upper hand, he tells Gohan to take Piccolo and leave. Well, go get Bulma and leave. Because he's like, yo, bro, this is probably not going to be the safest place for you, so get out of here. Because I probably can't control what's about to happen. So he ultimately sacrifices himself to make sure Frieza's dead. Which, whatever. But he does manage to escape, and he's lost in space. He's on a planet he does not know anything about. So he recovers, he's like getting stronger, making sure he's ready to actually make the trip back to Earth. So he makes the trip. And as soon as he gets there, he's like, where's Frieza? He's like ready to throw hands, but Trunks was there, right? As soon as he gets back, he goes back to his family. Goku doesn't go off to train on the moon. He isn't like, oh, Chi-Chi, I need to go train with, so-and-so. Like, he does train, but he still goes sees his family. Goten came from somewhere. Anywho, we have the whole Cell saga where it's like, okay, we need to beat these androids and protect the future. Things get worse, and then Goku comes down with the heart virus. Chi-Chi's taking care of him. He gets better, and he's like, okay, we need to make sure everybody is ready and able to take this guy on. And he knew Gohan was the only person to do it. So he spent his time making sure his son was good and could take over for him when he's gone. Because if there's something he learned from the first part, was that, again, he has been wished back with the Dragon Balls before. So it's not going to happen a second time. So if he dies again, he's dead. As in, there's no Goku's coming from the afterlife to save you, Gohan. You need to do this yourself. So we go through this whole rigmarole. They fight. Gohan makes a mistake when he turns Super Saiyan 2. Instead of telling everybody to get away, he's like, I got this. The exact opposite of what Goku did when he achieved Super Saiyan. Goku achieved Super Saiyan and told Gohan to leave. Gohan achieved Super Saiyan 2 and everybody was still there. Like, he did save everyone, but it was like, instead of doing the most responsible thing, he let his emotions, arrogance get in the way. The Saiyan pride. And when he couldn't find a way out of it, Goku came up like a dad and fixed it. He gave up his last life, his only life left, because he couldn't be wished back from the Dragon Balls, back when the Dragon Balls had limits, and he died. Now, it is questionable whether teleporting Cell to King Kai's planet was a good idea, but we could argue about that all day. And then we go into the Buu saga, and I don't have to rehash all of this. In other words, stop just taking what people say at face value. Do some actual thinking. Do some thinking. You guys have brains, use them. Because I had to catch myself in instances like that. Like, for instance, when people were like, man, Fairy Tail is bad. And I was like, well, I've never seen it before. When I was stationed up north, I was like, I think it was on Hulu. And I was like, you know what? I'll give it a shot. If it's bad, then I won't watch it that far. And I actually enjoyed it. It wasn't like there were obviously issues. Like every single series has problems. It's whether those problems outweigh your enjoyment. Was Dragon Ball Z perfect? No. Was Dragon Ball perfect? Heck no. Dragon Ball Super not perfect? No. By a long shot, no. But I think that's the best way to put it for me. You need to think about these things in scales, people. Do those problems outweigh your enjoyment of it? And I think that's the best way to put it with these video games as well. When it comes to the video games, is your enjoyment of a $90 game going to outweigh that price point? Because remember, you're still also paying for a literal, pretty much $500 console and the $90 game. And again, if that is the norm, it's not $90 once. It's $90 at every single release. We creeped up to 70, 60 pretty much. If it goes up to 90, I'm never buying new games again. And the only way those companies are going to know not to do that is if you don't buy them. Think. Use critical thinking. There are any games that have more personality and meaning to them that are released at 20, 30, maybe the highest 40, or free at that. And I have way more fun with those than any AAA title I've bought in a long time. I mean, heck, let's get on the Sparking Zero. The YouTubers I watch, especially ones I've watched for a long time, they've made like maybe 10 Sparking Zero videos and bam. Like, you know for a fact, and I'm just being completely transparent here. YouTubers, if you're like, I'm a Dragon Ball Z YouTuber, and you play a game that is Dragon Ball related, and you say, man, this game is fun, I love it. But you only make 10 videos of it. And then you don't make any more. And it's not just, oh, I missed one. It's like there's 2-3 months between your next release. What's going on? Because these are the same guys I watched when Dragon Ball The Breakers came out. I wasn't planning on playing that because it's literally just Xenoverse assets being flipped into another game. Get that crap out of here, bro. You're literally just flipping assets and making a new game. I'm not for that. The most work you're doing is creating the Earthlings. But that's what I mean. Your actions will always speak louder than your words do, people. That's why I said speak with your wallet, not with your mouth. And that's why I said when they were like, oh, because another thing, when the Sparking Zero, like all those trailers, and a lot of people were literally losing their minds. They're like, 50 days until release, 20 days until release. It's almost 10 days until release. It releases. They're like, man, this and that. I want to do all these things. And then you stop. What happened? You were having so much fun with it. What did you do? What happened? And I know, I know you guys love to play Dragon Ball games. I know that you love the long game. Because one of the creators I watch, I found him when he was playing Xenoverse. Thousands of videos on Xenoverse. The other guy played fighters. And he would come out every single day with a new fighters video. For well over 2 years. But when Sparking Zero comes out, you make maybe 10, 12, maybe 30 videos at best. And barely anything after that. Your actions will always speak louder than your words, people. That's why you need to speak with your actions. Don't buy games for companies that are underhanded, because they didn't divulge those prices to you, remember? Because they didn't want the backlash on the video. They said, go to our website where you can't comment, where you can't like or dislike. Go to our website. But Nintendo, I can go to your trailer and type all that stuff out in the comments. Are those comments turned off? You can do that. I mean, you know. But again, you cannot endorse this behavior. Think. I have way more pleasure playing a game that is $50 that is good versus $90 for a game that I may not even like. Like, if they were to say, literally tomorrow, hey, we are going to produce Jak and Daxter 4, but it's going to cost $120. And I think to myself, I'm like, that's a lot of money. That's my first thought. Second, I'd be like, if I really wanted to get this, either I could wait for it to go on sale or I would save up my money to get it later. That's what I would do. Because I'm thinking not just of I want it now, I need it now. Because I'm an adult now. I have responsibilities. I have bills to pay. Nintendo, Sony, Ubisoft. I have bills to pay and I don't have time to be spending my money, hard-earned money, on trash. So, no thank you. But I think that's enough intellectual ranting. But guys, again, critical thinking. It's okay to like what you like, but really weigh the pros and cons. Do the cons outweigh? Can your enjoyment of something outweigh the cons of it? Because for me, it does not. I cannot, in good conscience, enjoy a console that I have to pay almost $500 for, right? Buy $90 games for. No, I cannot enjoy myself. Then why am I buying it? Literally, as I was saying earlier, on my Nintendo Switch, I only have one Nintendo property on there. Mario Maker. I bought Subnautica, which I love. I play that game a lot. Don't Starve. I have Sheltered. I have, there's like what is it called? It's kind of like Dread Out, but it's like 2D. I can't remember what it's called. I'll remember it once I get it on there. Nexomon 1 and 2. Because they had a sale for it, and I was like, yeah, I need this while I'm sick. Just a whole bunch of other games. One Piece, Pirate Warriors, Naruto, and a bunch of other games that were free. But I get more enjoyment out of that knowing that, okay, I paid for this stuff already, and I'm okay with that. But critical thinking. Be able to justify what it is you're buying. If you have more hesitation towards something, maybe you shouldn't do it. Like, we have lived for thousands of years because we have went with our guts and have not done stuff that would have gotten us killed. I'm just being honest. You have basic instincts. Use them. If you are hesitant of spending that amount of money, then don't. Nintendo is not holding a gun to your head saying, buy our properties now. You have a choice. That's the privilege of a consumer. Speak with your wallets, people. Use your brains. If you're going to spend that kind of money, be one, justified for it, and be okay with it. Because there's no takes backs. You can, refund the console to wherever you bought it from, more than likely. But the games, remember, it's on Nintendo's property. So they can refund you. They don't have to. So, yeah, we'll leave it at that. So if you guys are listening to this on the podcast, again, sorry, it's been a minute, but we will get back on it. Don't you worry. So if you guys are listening to this on the podcast, make sure to like, share it, do whatever it is that people do on podcasts. If you're listening to this on YouTube, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure to like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Help us out. Write down in the comments below what you guys feel about the things that I talked about. Again, intellectual conversations here. Again, I never want to talk about anything that's divisive. Politics, none of that. What I want us to do is actually think and take other people's criticism into consideration. Because, again, when it comes to anime or manga, there's bias. There is going to be bias. You will do everything you can to justify why Goku is stronger than this person, or why this person is stronger than Goku. Because on one end, you grew up with one of them, and on the other end, you didn't. So, but yeah, make sure, like, subscribe, look forward to new content as it comes, and until next time, peace out.